Hello, Knights fans. Back with this week's edition of the FDU Men's Basketball Report. I'm Brian Jackson here, as always, with Coach Greg Herenda. Coach, you got a split last week. Let's first talk about the big win up at Mount. You completed the season sweep of them, and you got a huge effort from your big man, Mike Holloway. He eclipsed the 1,000-point mark. It was a huge key down the stretch for you guys as a game that came down to the very last second, as it did the first meeting with that team. Talk about that win and Mike's performance.
No, it was just a great team win. It's always difficult. I think we're the only conference team to win in that building this year. We were able to beat Mount twice, which is huge. That hasn't happened in a long time. But, Mike Holloway has been, the staple of our success. And because of his size and his strength and his personality, people expect so much from him. So even when he's not playing great, he means so much to us. But when he's playing great, he means the world. And, for him to have 1,000 points, and I think he's got 500 rebounds, and really started from day one. Similar but very different, like Jaleel Jenkins will probably started from day one and can put up those kind of numbers. So, but that game was just a grit game against a really good basketball team. And, we fouled them 3 times in the last 2 minutes. We watched the tape, and I guess we fouled them 3 times in the last 2 minutes. But these guys are playing hard. So if we're not contesting those 3-point shots, I'm even more upset than fouling the 3-point shooters. And then the return trip to St. Francis, Brooklyn, was just really tough. And we knew that the PA trip is not a hard trip. You go out there and play 2 games. But to turn around and play a really good Brooklyn team that just played 2 home games, we didn't have enough in the second half. And kudos to them. They're a really good team. Glenn's a great coach. But I think if you ask most Northeast Conference coaches, if you go to Mount and then go to Brooklyn and you split, would you take it? I think, they'd have to have some kind of truth serum if they're not really truthful with themselves. It was a really, really good weekend overall, but obviously we would have loved to gotten 2 games.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, the team fought hard in that St. Francis Brooklyn game. Talking about that team, that's a team that lost 16 straight games to close the NEC last season. What has been the biggest difference with them that you've seen in our matchups with them? And you may see them again in the NEC tournament, so it's one of those third tries.
That sounds familiar. We lost 15 straight games and won the championship the year after. So it's just about grinding it out and staying with it. And like I said on numerous occasions, Glenn Breaka has been a good friend of mine for a long time. And Ronnie Gagnolin, who's the assistant. He's the Alabalbo of the St. Francis bench. Those guys just play hard and defend and can score now. Like last year, they had trouble scoring. Now they have a lot of options. The Jordan kid's good, and Dunn is terrific. So they've got good guards. And if you have good guards and you play hard and you guard, and then you play in that gym, like Irma's got that gym, the athletic director at St. Francis. It's like it's playing in a CYO game. It's hard to win in CYO away games. I remember that when I was a kid. We used to go to Lady Libra in West New York, and it was small, and they pressed, and the cheerleaders were on the floor, and you couldn't win. And I feel eerily the same way. It's a good venue for St. Francis, but now we're home for our last 2 games, and we're excited about our venue as well.
Yeah, so now you're home here for 2 games. You got St. Francis PA on Thursday,
right,
and you close out with Bryant on Saturday. Obviously, there's a lot of seeding still up for grabs here in the NEC. You still have a shot at a home game if you win these 2 games. Some other things go your way.
Right.
How important is that, and how much are the guys that you telling the guys, like, look, this is our chance. We have to win these 2 games. We can give our chance a home game. How important is that to the team and to yourself?
Well, I think the obvious thing before that is the elephant in the room. We're in the conference championship. So we're 120 minutes away from the NCAA tournament. So you cannot get complacent, but understand that you've accomplished that primary goal. To get a home game would be huge, but you have to do a lot, and a lot has to happen. We have to win a basketball game, and we're playing really good basketball. And if you take the St. Francis game out of the equation, we'd be really, really confident about tomorrow night. But because of that loss, now everyone's on edge, which is perfect for a coach. We're coming off a loss, and that gives you the extra added humble pie that you need to be successful. So when we get ready to practice here today, we're practicing just to win a game, and if that game helps us get a home game, that's great. If it doesn't, it's going to get us ready for, Brian on Saturday. So it's you still have to stay focused on the moment and can't look too far down the road. And our team does that very well every day in practice.
And then lastly, Saturday's game will be senior day. You're going to honor your two seniors, two very different seniors. You got Darian Anderson, who's had all the accolades, but you have Mike Stroback, a guy who's really hung in. He earned a scholarship, played hard, earned everything he's gotten, got on the court here, been a key contributor now with Darian's injury.
Yes.
He's gotten a chance to play a lot more. Talk about their two careers and what it means to be wrapping up their final days here at FDU.
Well, it's really appropriate, Brian, because they're so close off the floor. Mike Stroback might be arguably our most popular player, maybe because his mother lives up the street and she feeds these guys every once in a while and they go to his house. He's a Hasbrook Heights kid. And obviously Darian Anderson might be the most popular Fairleigh Dickinson player in history, in the top 10 or 20 players. So the combination of those two are tremendous, and it's obviously very sad that Darian cannot play. But, he had his time and he helped us win championships, and he scored a lot of points. He stole the basketball. And Mike Stroback, in a totally different way, helped us do all those things. And like you said, he's coming off the bench and gave us a big lift at Robert Morris when we kind of started our run. And he's going to play this weekend a lot. And he's a terrific representative academically and basketball-wise of what a Fairleigh Dickinson night should be. Mike's a great kid, and Darian, I'm going to miss those two guys dearly.
Definitely. And then looking ahead to this week's radio show, you have a guy that I know very well, one of the funniest, one of the venerable Roger Kindle. He's the interim athletic director at our other campus, Fairleigh Dickinson Florham, and he's coached basketball there. He'll tell you he was a Seton Hall great. Is that going to win any awards this week, that radio show? I'm sure it's going to be entertaining.
Roger, we taped the show, so I'll give you a little insight, was a little more reserved on the show than his normal personality. I think sometimes people in life are something, and then you put a radio or you put a microphone, they change. But no, he was great. Roger's a dear friend. He was a great player at Seton Hall, a great high school player. He and Bruce Hamburger are like some of the living legends here in New Jersey in high school, college basketball, and obviously at Fairleigh Dickinson University. He's retiring the beginning of June, and Roger did a great job. You are mentioned on the show, Pete. The men's basketball, Pete Marion at Fairleigh Dickinson Florham is mentioned. So it's a good show for everybody out there in Florham to get with us here at the Metropolitan Campus. It's a good show on Saturday morning at noon.
Definitely. Well, good luck this week.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
So the Knights are going to gear up for the NEC tournament with some two big final games here at the Rothman Center. So definitely come out. Let's fill this gym and get it pumped as they did for the Wagner game. Get a good crowd here for these final two games. First up is Thursday night with St. Francis, PA. That'll be a 7 o'clock start. And then Saturday we'll honor Darian and Mike with the senior day. That'll be a 4:30 start. That'll follow the women's game, which begins at 2 o'clock. So for all information about the FDU men's basketball team, head to FDUKnights.com.